Greetings, I am Tom Earl, and this is my Year of Balance birthday celebration edition. Woo! I turned 30, depending on when you're listening to this. I turned 30, and I am just so excited. It's just fun to say. I love saying that. I'm 30. Oh, there were times where I wondered, will I ever make it to 30? It seems like everybody dies around 27, 23, and I used to believe that. So the fact that I'm 30 is, I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about it. So I am happy. And one of my birthday rituals is to write down one affirmation, one self-love affirmation for every year that I am alive. It was a ritual that one of my mentors, and she Rose Jessica, taught me. And so I do it every year. I write down, however old I am, that many self-love affirmations. You can see the one I did last year if you'd like. And so I have that for you. One self-love affirmation for every year of my life that I have been blessed to be born. But before I jump into that, I wanted to share with you a little story, how I got through to this moment right here. And of course, you can either watch this, or if you prefer to listen, you can do that on a podcast. All of that's tomroll.com/30. So I was reflecting last night on, wow, Tom, you're turning 30. That's amazing. And I know that I've been a little bit guarded, or I haven't always told my story, and this aspect of my story, of my birthdays. And so I thought, let's go for it. Let's close out the 20s with a celebration of the journey you've been on. And so let's start here. Let's start with my 18th birthday. It's much different than my 30th birthday. I had a bunch of friends over, and my band played in my barn. Yes, I had a barn. And right towards the end, everybody got drunk, high on cocaine, huffing paint and glue and all this kind of crazy stuff. And one group of my friends pulled out knives on the other group of my friends and tried to stab them. And so my party went from super fun to like, oh my God, people are trying to kill people at my party because they're high out of their minds. And I instantly had to jump into conflict mediator. You wonder where that part came from. Wow, you'd think I'd learned my lesson. But then at 19, as I was blowing out my candles, I was trying not to cry because I knew that while my family was celebrating, there was a secret that I was holding. And so me and my dad, we went for a drive, and I told him, Dad, I have something to tell you. I was arrested 2 days ago, and I am facing 3 years in jail for felony distribution of drugs. And I don't know what to do. And so that was my 19th birthday. That's how I entered my 20s, with that, telling my dad that. And as you can imagine, it ripped me up. And so, hashtag white privilege, didn't go to jail for 3 years. Instead, I got a year probation. And so my 20th birthday party, how I celebrated entering this decade that I'm now closing, was I was on probation, which means that I was getting drug tested. And so what does somebody who likes to be intoxicated do when they're getting drug tested? They drink because it leaves your system. And so by this point, I was drinking heavily. So much so, I had been drinking for so long that my body could no longer take it. And almost every other day I was waking up in my own urine because I was drinking so much. I would drink a liter of whiskey a day like it was water. And then I would, quote, drink beer to sober up. It was not a good look. But I'm sharing this because this is how I entered my 20s. And I want to fully celebrate how far I've come and share this with you. So 21 birthday, my 21st birthday, I had realized, maybe I don't have a bladder problem. I have a drinking problem. And so thankfully, on my 21st birthday, I gave up drinking, and I have not had a drop of alcohol or done any sort of drugs since January 6th, 2008. Every year I celebrate that. And on my 21st birthday was right around the time I also got engaged to get married to this really amazing person. On my 22nd birthday, the cracks started to show in retrospect, because by my 23rd birthday, my engagement was broken off, and I weighed 110 pounds on a good day, sometimes around 105 pounds. To give you a guess of what that might look like, I weigh almost 190 pounds right now. So imagine me 70 pounds less. Whenever I ran into anybody, they thought I had cancer. They thought I was dying. If I ran into a friend's parent, I would get a phone call from that friend that night, and they would try to somehow ask me, am I dying? Didn't realize it because I didn't have the name for it, but that was a form of anorexia that I was experiencing. And that was my 23rd birthday. I was not in a good place, as you can see, from 18 to 23. I went from, violence to doing drugs. And then when I got caught doing that, to excessive drinking. And then I stopped that and went to, not eating, trying to control my environment by eating almost nothing. I would eat maybe a tomato a day, just crazy things like that. And then I moved into being the fiercest activist in your face that you will ever see. And on my 24th birthday is when things started to shift. I remember exactly where I was. I was standing on the porch, my sister's porch in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Hey. And I remember the exact prayer I said to God. And I'm going to keep that private between me and God. But I basically said to God, I know what I'm doing is not working. And I'm trying to live my life in tune with what you envisioned for me. But I have to admit that I do not know how to do that. I thought I did, but every time I try something, it seems like I just make my life worse. What should I do, God? And that was the moment that I surrendered. Whew. And I went down and I started typing questions into Google University. And the first thing that I decided to do was I was going to get healthy. I was going to get my body healthy. Because as you can imagine, at 110 pounds, I could barely walk up the steps. I could barely think, with that much calorie restriction. So the first thing I decided to do was to get healthy, was get my body healthy. After making that decision, within 2-3 months tops, I had gained all my weight back. I was up to 160 pounds. I could run 3 to 5 miles a day. I was super awesome. And with that newfound energy, with that newfound clarity, I finally had the ability to really think. Because, later I found out that that's like a tactic they use on prisoners of war, is to restrict their calories, and it makes you unable to think clearly. And so what happened on my 24th birthday is, when I look back, is that there moving to now, life just continually got better. And how did it get better? It's because I changed the quality of the question that I was asking myself. From 18 to 24, the questions I was asking myself sounded something like, why me? Why did this thing happen to me? Why, when I was young, did this happen? Why was nobody there to protect me? Or, these questions that aren't really going to lead me to any form of clarity. They're just going to keep me in this cycle of, it's not my fault, it's everybody else's fault, I'm going to run from the pain, this constant cycle. And so, of course, every time I would ask a question like that, it didn't lead me anywhere. And so instead, the first thing that I started to do was I changed who my role models were. Before, my role models were rock and roll junkies. And I thought that to be a creative meant that you had to suffer. I looked at all these creative people out there, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, all these awesome people, Tupac, that I just was so inspired by. And I saw, oh, okay, what do? They're super in pain. They do a lot of drugs. They're self-destructive. That must make you a more creative person. And it's totally not true, which is why it's one of my passions, one of my goals in life, to break that myth. And so I changed my role models, and I changed the criteria I use to select role models. And so instead of just looking at who are people that have reached a high level of achievement, who are people that have reached a high level of success, I also added, and who are people that while achieving that success also had fulfillment, self-love, that they loved the journey, that they created joy and happiness all around them, that they went to bed each night feeling proud of who they were, that there was not this, just weight on their shoulders from the self-hatred. That was a new criteria I started to ask myself. And through that, after getting body health, started to get mental health. And through that, I started to be able to name what I was going through when I was younger. I had no idea I thought that a drinking problem meant that you didn't show up to work. I thought a drinking problem meant that you were unable to get good grades and you had to drop out of college. I thought that a drinking problem or a drug problem was this, this, and that. Because while I was doing all that kind of stuff, I was getting a 4.0. I was working 40 to 60 hours a week as a general manager of a restaurant. I was volunteering. I was like this super awesome citizen, but at the same time, when I got home, I would drink from 11 p.m. till 4 a.m. every single day. I didn't know that what I was doing was anorexia. I thought that I was on a spiritual journey to overcome my temptations, a spiritual journey to, release myself from any connections to the earth. I had bought into the belief that that's how I would find peace. When in retrospect, now that I have self-awareness, I know that it was a way for me to try to have control in a situation where I felt completely out of control. In a world where so many things would happen to me, so many things that I was unable to predict or have influence over their outcome, well, one thing I can do is not eat. One thing I can control is, even though I'm hungry, to say no. And I can get a sense of control from that. And so the more and more I went through my 20s, I started to realize that I'm not addicted. I don't have an addiction to alcohol. My addiction isn't to drugs. It's not to not eating. It's not to being the best activist ever. It's not to any of those things. What I was addicted to was to not feeling enough. I was addicted to that emotional home of I'm not good enough. And I was addicted to that emotional home of I'm not worthy of love. And when I got clear on that, that was a huge epiphany for me. Because if I'm constantly trying to do work or trying to have a transformation in the outward signs, the excess drinking, all these kind of things, I'm never going to get to the core, which is that emotion right there. And so the later half of my 20s, 24, 25, through now 30, hey, that has been my goal, is to have transformation in those limiting beliefs of I am not good enough, I am not worthy of love. And that is what this journey has been all about. The year of expression, the year of balance, doing all the work that I do. All of this stuff has been, first and foremost, that I want to wake up every single day and experience joy. I want to feel happy no matter what goes on around me. Whatever the storm may be, I want to sit in that eye of the hurricane, just singing along to my favorite song, having fun. Not like an ostrich with my head in the sand, fully aware of what's going on, working every day to make the world a better place, but having an unshakable inner peace. That became the goal of my later 20s. And you know what? I'm feeling like I'm doing a pretty great job at that. Why do I share this story with you? Why put myself out there like this? I have been asking myself that. One reason is because I believe that we should trust our inner voice. And the more we listen to it, the stronger it gets. And that Tom Earl, who was just about to turn 24, standing on a porch, saying to God, I surrender to your wisdom. That inner voice to me is that answer. Okay, well then here you go. And so as I was falling asleep last night, and I thought, let me record a video again where I share publicly my self-love affirmations. First of all, because it holds me accountable. Second of all, because I hope it's an inspiration for you to do the same. The inner voice told me, you know what you need to do this year? I want you to tell this part of your story. I want you to let it go off your chest. And that's honestly the reason why. Is who knows what it means? I don't know, but I trust in God's vision. And that's why I'm sharing this. So if it's any inspiration to you or any feels like solidarity, because having been doing this work of trying to be a resource to people who are working through transformation, I found that this experience I have is not unique, unfortunately. That a lot of us have experienced these feelings of being addicted to, I'm not good enough. And a lot of times it's people, I've worked with super successful people on the outside, highly paid CEOs, all on the outside, but still we don't feel fulfilled on the inside. And so I just want to share that when I offer these different tools and resources that I present, or I say every single day, name 3 gratitudes. When I share these things, I'm not doing it from a place of I've never been there. This is truly what I found works for me. It's what I found works for hundreds of people I've worked with. And the mentors and teachers that I've learned from, awesome people. And the thousands of people that you add up who they've worked with, millions of people. This is consistently what works. Whew, I'm feeling very vulnerable right now, but very excited. Because when I was younger, when I was 20, now that you have a little bit bigger picture of what that looked like, I used to think, you know what? I'm going to put out some good music. I'm going to live fierce. And then I'll probably die by the time I'm 26 or 27. And that was my belief from 17 until probably about 25. I had believed that. And so you can imagine me being 30 feels so good. Woo, it feels so good. And so I couldn't have gotten here without all of this. So now I want to celebrate my self-love affirmations now that God, I've listened to that story you told me. This was super scary and awkward and weird. And I don't know necessarily what to say, but I honored that inner voice. And so now let me move into the celebration. These are my 30 self-love affirmations. And now you know a little bit about my story, why I'm so proud that I can say 30 things I love about myself. Because before I could not have done that. I used to think that people liked me when I was barely coherent, passed out on the floor. I used to think, oh, that's the Tom Earl that people love. That's what I have to do to get love, is to hurt myself, is to be a fool, is to be the joke, is to make a lot of noise by all these different things. And it's not true. I realize that just who I am right now, as I've always been since I was born, I am worthy of love. Not because I'm Tom Earl, but because I'm Tom Earl. You know what I mean? Just the way that I am. And so each one of these self-love affirmations, I'm so proud to be able to say. Getting a little teary-eyed. So here they go. Here's my 30 self-love affirmations. I love about myself my passion. I love my laughter. I love my honesty. I love my determination. I love that I always strive to do what's right. I love that I'm a Muslim. I love my relationship with God. I love my daily gratitude practice. I love that I meditate. I love that my music is amazing. I love my courage. I love that I'm a great partner to the amazing Adora. I love that I'm a director of a nonprofit. I love my wonderful, amazing, spectacular, stupendous taste in music. I love that I have amazing sheroes as role models. You know who they are. I talk about them all the time. I love that I'm a feminist. I love that I'm an amazing friend. I love that I'm an outstanding son. I love that I'm a terrific brother. I love the celebration, which is what you're listening to right now. I love that I founded an online school called the Celebration Academy and that it uplifts so many people. I love that I'm a lifelong learner. I love the self-awareness that I have, both around my privilege, around, systems of power, and also about what makes me passionate, what makes me feel fulfilled. I love that I'm an activist, a balanced one who comes from a place of love. I love that I read every single day. I love that I say yes to what matters, and I love that I say no to what I need to say no to. I love that I have outstanding time management. I love that I am healthy and I am happy. And here comes my 30th one. I love me just because I do. Okay, wow. This was definitely one of the most, if not the most, vulnerable video I've ever put out there. I hope that I just, no hopes. Not no hopes. Okay, see, I'm rambling because I'm nervous. It's been a joy sharing this with you. And I hope that, here's my hope, here's the one I wanted to talk about. I hope you take time on your birthday to write down however many affirmations there are for the years you were born. And I hope that you know that you are good enough. In fact, you're beyond good enough. You're stupendous. You're the stars. You're absolutely super awesome. The dictionary doesn't even have enough words to explain how outstanding you are. Just the way that you are. Excuse me. And that you are love. And you are loved. And you are loving. And my friends, it's been a joy to share this with you. This has been a huge part of my journey. And I'm so happy to be 30. So, if you could, just leave a little love below for me. Whether it's a Snapchat or comment below or email or a text. Send me a little happy birthday love because it's the fuel that keeps me going. Whenever people give me an affirmation, I write it down in my diary. And then when I'm feeling stuck, I come back to that. It's fuel to keep me going. I love you so much, and I love me so much. Happy birthday to me. My friends, I wish you peace and blessings. One more thing. I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to join me at tomearl.com/join. Subscribe below, or let's connect on social media. Tom Earl Artist. Thanks again for watching.